Let everybody sort of eat a little more. I think it's a few more out there.
Yeah, Walt's getting there.
Are you still welcome on MTSU's campus?
I'm banned from talking. They won't say why. They won't say where the order came from. They basically said because it's the security restricted building. You know about it. So I have to ask about these models that we bring in and stuff like that. I mean, he said, I'll continue to fight him. That's why I did the license plate thing when I was at home.
Yeah, you're just
I've been out of the state since May.
We got quite a crowd here. I know we got some new people that's come in. So, of course, we'll get started on this night. We're going to be looking forward to having our guest speaker for the workshop in Wilmington. And that's Christopher Hamrick. He's going to be talking to us about what he's working on, the projects he's working on. Of course, I can't wait to hear questions. He may not be prepared for it, but I'm sure he'll be able to. Of course, this is the Wilson County Photography Group. This is a club we started about 5-6 years ago. It's growing all the time. Matter of fact, we have 2 different locations that we meet. We meet here in Lebanon, then we have another meeting place in Mount Juliet. So we always get a good crowd, and looking forward to a good evening. Mary, you think we're about ready to start? Yeah. Okay, gang, listen up. We got a lot to happen tonight. We got a lot to go over. Marion is going to take about 15 minutes. We want to welcome our guests. Do we have any new people that have come for the first time? I know that I've invited one. Would you like to stand up and tell us who you are? How you found out about our club?
Good evening, everyone. My name is Danny Patel. I have a sister in Lebanon, and I live with. I was a photographer. I don't have any equipment right now besides a professional tripod. And
Start.
Good foundation.
And I was driving by on West Main when I saw Color Lab, and I looked at his window and he said something about classes, and that interested me. And I thought I'll get to see and meet all of you and get acquainted.
Thank you. And of course, I told him the wrong meeting place. So like 3 months later, he actually just.
Because William, if it wasn't for William, we were supposed to be in Mount Juliet
Right.
for that.
Right.
Yes, we were, and I screwed that up big time.
Well, I tell you, well, unfortunately or unfortunately, we're here. Anybody else, first time? Well, we'd like to tell you.
Susan Macchia, transplant, and that's shocking. And I've been here probably almost 2 years now, and started kind of deciding that I wanted to do more photography. I did the night tour with Dory's on Friday, and they told me to be on the clock. So I said, do it. So that's I'm here.
Well, anybody else that would like to speak or say something? All right, we have a lot going on, and of course, as Marion said, we're supposed to be in Mount Juliet tonight. It's their loss, our game.
If anybody has not received emails from me, and you probably know that my email is, so if you want to receive email, please give me your email address.
I mean,
I got it. And nothing, I did. It's about 2 weeks or 3 weeks ago, at the beginning of the month, about this week.
Make sure we double check. So just kind of get with, Dagmar, and she will take care of it. Couple of minutes, Barbara, she wants to make a quick announcement about the maps.
The maps that I have, and many of you want, I've got 10 left of the black ones. They're $1.75 if anybody wants them. I've got 4 white ones, which I don't recommend you see unless you have a very dark photograph. But I've got 4 of those, if anybody's interested in those. Nobody wants them here tonight, then I'll drop them off at Al's and somebody can get them.
Right. 'Cause
$1.75 each.
yeah, we'll take care
That's all I have
of
left
that.
right now.
We'll take it. Marion wants to take a few minutes to make an announcement.
yeah, we've got a number of things coming up here, and she's mentioned about the photo maps because there are lots of contests coming up right now. And I have volunteered all of you again for Oktoberfest. And I am pleased to announce, with the help of Barb over there, that we now have, you get in here, Oktoberfest photography contest rules.
Yay.
They're ready to go. They're going to print. They'll be there when the Wilson County Fair opens. We have the photography contest for adults, and I have the youth. I'm going to give you a stack.
Yes.
I'm just going to go, Wilson Bank said, go ahead and print them off. They're going to send those to print, so we're all good with that. I'm going to need volunteers. Oktoberfest.
Church.
I know. We are not having a meeting next month. Next month is our first Monday of the month is Labor Day, so we're not here again already. So that puts us into the summer and Oktoberfest, the collecting of the photos that we do every year. I know Gary and Walt and Pat and Barb, we've all been involved in this before, where people come and they drop off the photos and we tag them and we send in boxes and whatnot up here at Wilson Bank and Trust.
Ticket 1920. Anybody?
And it only takes just a few minutes or a little bit of time to do it. It's very easy. It's not hard. But the hardest day we have to cover is Friday, which would be Friday, October 7th. Oh, I haven't seen it in a long time. Friday, October 7th. The 8th is they're only open, the bank's only open from 8 till noon. But we have to have somebody sitting there collecting photos all day on the 7th from 8 a.m. to 5 p.m. So within the next couple of weeks, I'm going to send out an email to everybody. and just give me an idea of what you can cover as far as time and whatnot. And then, of course, Oktoberfest is the 15th and 16th. On October 15th, they want us there, or excuse me, October 14th was that Friday night. They want us up there again at 6 o'clock at night with Robert, wherever he went off to, or Wilson Bank and Trust guy over here. He'll open up the bank for us, and he'll have all the displays set up, and we'll put all the photos up on the displays and everything like that. The 15th and the 16th, we'll be there just nannying around, just talking with people like we normally do, customers or whatever. And then we have to tear down and put all the pictures back in the box and take them up in the conference room. So I really need a lot of hands to help with this, even if it's just for an hour. It would be greatly appreciated. And again, okay. When we man at the photography over the 14th and 15th in the lobby up there, and we have our own little desk set up and our sign that says, Wilson County, outside Wilson County photography group with that. Don't congregate. That thing to come here at the bank. People trying to get to look at photos and go through the bank and whatnot. So if we can just kind of step aside and let people be able to move freely through the photographs, it'd be greatly appreciated. But I'm going to send that out
You're
here.
not trying to bribe anyone while you're there. They don't like that. So.
Speaking of that, if you have a complaint about who wins the photo best of show or first place, second place, third place, it ain't me that picks the judges, so we keep the judges.
Is that a real dig? They picked the judges last year.
I'm just saying, it happens every year. Keep in mind, it is a amateur photography contest. We help the bank do this. They pay us $500, and just like last year, if it's okay with everybody else, we'll let the kids at the School for the Blind have it again. It's good. And because we certainly don't need any money in the coffers, we've got Christmas covered for about the next 2 years.
Marion for president.
We don't spend anything. So we still have money. That's why for you that are new, we don't collect dues. We used to collect yearly dues here and whatnot, and we collected so much money we didn't know what to do with it. So now it's sitting in a bank account, and when Christmas rolls around, we have a nice Christmas dinner. So we'll do that again this year. That's coming up. Any suggestions for Christmas, please let me know. So anyway, that's it. That's the photo contest coming up. Grab yourself, pass these out when you're in Starbucks, when you're in wherever that has a billboard or someplace like that, or one of those community event things. Grab a couple and hang them up, and we'll get as many photos as we can. If you have kids in school or grandkids in school, hand these out to the teachers, the youth. That happens to be the week when the kids are off for fall break. And we don't get a lot of youth entering like they do at the county fair. So encourage the youth photographers out there. We did 3 entries for the youth, and we did a special theme category. And the theme for 2016 for the kids is shoes. Anything that has a shoe or a shoe.
That should be good.
So, yeah,
Somebody
told me that the youth are real big on things like backpacks, tennis shoes, that kind of stuff. So anyway, that's what we decided to do. And you will see an email from me in a couple weeks.
All right, really quickly, when we do come back, I need to talk to our legal department to see if we can do this. I want to do what we call photo lotto. So bring a dollar bill with you We're gonna put it in a box. You can either put your name on it or leave it clean. And then at the end of the night, we're gonna draw from that box. And we're gonna use that to try to, of course, generate a little bit of more revenue for our club so that Jim can decide not to do anything with it.
Donations.
But in any case, we have a great speaker with us tonight, someone I've gotten to know for years. He was part of our group for a little while, then he moved on, he's gone out. He's in North Carolina now with a project that he's working on. And in no further ado, I want to introduce you to Christopher E. Hamrick.
He's sweet. He was a Marine.
Yes, he was a Marine and he knows how to kill you with a pencil.
Does anybody have a pencil? Probably like a lot of people that fall into photography, it's just one of those things that kind of creeps up on you. I used to be an engineer. I actually worked in this county and surrounding counties on the police cars, their towers that did all communications, Brentwood, their water system, stuff like that, with my military training, electronics. And when the economy got bad, that's how I got into photography. I started developing my own infrared cameras, and NASA didn't care. They were used for detecting camouflage. So I got into it with those. I ended up getting my major in photography because I saw that the images were very surrealistic and beautiful, and that's how I ended up getting my education, starting off with film, working into digital. So I kind of went back to how things used to be. And hopefully in the future I can get into wet play. I'm currently working with a friend of mine from the Marine Corps. He has been a wedding photographer for about 7 years. He fell into it because he was building websites and he needed pictures for the websites. And so he ended up making his living doing weddings and video, pretty much anything on that side. He gets into a little bit of sound. So he has a 1,500 square foot studio in downtown Wilmington, and asked me to come out and help him out and try to round off what essentially is not covered among amateurs and the like, which is the technical and the historical aspects of photography. So we built a site wall, and we're just kind of growing from there. And I'm trying to get him to up his game and help other photographers in the area do it more better. My wife hates me when I say that, but when I gave her, it's the proper English, she hates it even more. So, do you have any pictures of it?
We can go to your website. Can you go to
website.
Would anybody like some pizza? Jim back here won a pizza. If anyone would like some of this, how do you get the pizza? Arm wrestle to get the princess.
I just got back from
He said, Luther's
So I had to do the policies.
Winter wise, it's lost. You want some? Yeah. Anybody? Please.
So this is where we started. The studio that my friend had, it looked like a place where you do woodworking and metalworking, and just kind of very trashed. So came in and I convinced him, hey, let's do this right. Let's set up a professional studio and do it right. And there's supposed to be a formula for that little arch that's in there, but it's supposed to give you a nice seamless shot. So when you're shooting your model, you don't have a crease in the wall. If you light it correctly, it just goes off into infinity, essentially the construct and matrix. And we're planning on that far wall, doing a bin there and then extending the site wall out even further. So this is something that there's a lot of amateur photographers in Wilmington that they've, hit up model mayhem. They've spent a lot of money in getting models and practice, and they know the creative aspect of photography, but a lot of them haven't really covered the technical aspect. And with the time that I had been at NTSU, and then I fell into teaching, that's one of the other things that I plan on doing out there is to get some courses going, teach people how to do things that they haven't been exposed to, pun intended, like calibrating your computer, calibrating your camera. I know we've been over it with Al. I brought him an image one time. It was perfect on my computer, and he printed it, and it was like, why is it yellow? What's going on here? And then I learned that that's one of those things that if you're looking at a monitor that's off and you adjust it, you're thinking, hey, that looks great. Somebody that does calibrate their equipment, it's going to come out, the color's going to be off. And especially if you start doing professional stuff, you're always going to have people that are going to say, well, that's too dark, or that's too light, or that's, my monitor's calibrated. Is yours? No. Well, maybe your monitor's too dark or light. So that's one of the things in dealing with the client. My creativity, I just use the job to do something that I just, try to get some work out there. So, any questions? What about my plan? Well, it's all stands. So it changes depending on how you guys set it up. One of the, I'm still working on building this website. I don't think we can put anything up there. One of the more popular lighting styles is Abaddon lighting. Quick and see if there's any stuff. I know there's anything in here. Okay. Abaddon lighting is that typical, that white, almost white background lighting, designed by a guy named Richard Abaddon. He was trying to come up with the most boring lighting style because he did not want to do this job. And so somebody came in, he shot him. Well, background, if you're trying to make it boring, he used to shoot IDs for military IDs. So he thought, white background, they'll leave me alone. About a month, they came back and said, can you do this again? And then it sort of took off. And so if you look at his work, you'll see that he has shot famous people and interesting people alike, where he would actually go into alleys and then set up maybe some silk or some fabric over it so that he would get that nice soft light from the sun, and then the white background light would hit that. So one of the things that I'm trying to show people to do is how to do it correctly, where you light the foreground and the background independently. So for this setup, I would actually have two umbrellas to light the back wall, and then the model would be four of those umbrellas, and then I have two lights to light them. And then you just picture it, like if I'm shooting, say, F11, then you would want the wall about 8.5. That way you get a slight gray. A lot of people want to overexpose the back, which there may be a time and place you want to do that. Like if you're doing something for a website or a catalog and you want the back white, I leave it slightly gray because it shows proficiency. Because if you're using two lights and you don't have it quite right, then it'll start to get darker on one side or the other. So it's one way to set yourself apart from everybody else. Another thing is they'll put them too close to the background, and they'll get that nice little halo around them where the light is reflecting off of it. Or they expose to the background and try to make it white, and the person is washed out. They're overexposed. So I try to teach people to set up their lighting independent, do the foreground and then do the background completely separately. As far as doing video, we're kind of in the middle of talking about that so that we have the lighting, because we need constant lights for that. And the lights, the reason I did this in black and white is because these lights are advertised at 6,400 Kelvin. They're 5,400 Kelvin, and they're really green. So, no, it's not, hell no. And he was using these lights to photograph people, and they came out icy green, and, you know, so, because, and that's the thing, he developed a lot of bad habits over the 7 years that he's been doing weddings. He got lucky on a lot of stuff because he was using strobes, and strobes are the same color as the sun. So he can go out and shoot a bride or something, and it actually looks well. But when you're getting into a studio, you have to have control over everything that we do, and you have to understand lighting to the point that you can mimic what we think is pretty when you go out into the outside world. Little things like sunlight. When you go into shade, that's 2 stops lower. So when you're shooting a model or something like that, usually you want whatever is proper exposed on one side, you want 2 stops on the board on that side. There's going to be variations to that depending on skin tone.
4-to-1 ratios is what you're looking at, right? When you say 2 stops on one side versus the other.
Well, you're just mimicking it. So if you so you come down to 2 stops. Now, I mean, darker skin tone, I've done 1 stop, but usually we like that shade, that look on there. And it's getting a little bit more complex because we have cameras that are so good at what they do. And you just, if anybody's got a D90, a Nikon D90 came out about a decade ago, the new Nikons and the Sonys that use the same sensor, they're doing about 14 so dynamic and properly exposed, and 1 over, 1 under, and mixing it all together. Nowadays, you're getting that 1 shot. So the Sonys, the mechanics,
You're also planning to come, you was talking to me about coming with the wall where it actually meets in the corner and comes all the way around. Is that something that you're working on with the side wall as well?
Once he gets a little bit more money, then yes, that's what we plan on doing, because he does a lot of video stuff. I probably won't use it for still photography, but video, it gives him the ability, some latitude to move around with the camera, and if it's lit properly, then you can have your actors or models or whatever in the area, and it just looks like a seamless
Scene, basically.
you know, infinity.
Are there windows in that room?
No, we boarded them up after we got broke into. So that's 3/4 plywood. And going back to the former Marine, I actually, after that happened, I slept on a cot in the back with an AR-15. Seems to be popular. People recognize that that's a lethal weapon. So they start to know. I mean, even the cops came in.
Just showing to it.
Yeah, it's one of those things. And we're gonna, hopefully on the other side, we're gonna put up some soji boards, which is that Japanese style, like the little accordion. Yeah, all the way up to the top, so it looks like a scene in Kill Bill almost. Because it almost leads to when I tell people, take your shoes off. You know, you're on holy ground, get them off. That when they walk in, they're not tracking in. Because I mean, even with me mopping it every day, and we have to paint that floor, because that's just regular maintenance white, flat white paint.
I was gonna ask you what material that was over the plywood. So that's just painted.
That's painted white?
Just paint. We've got a couple of different colors. The floor was blues and some all kinds of different colors. I think there's some sort of vinyl tile underneath, and it's this studio is again the rougher part of town. But at 50 cents a square foot, can't be. I mean, downtown Wilmington, and Wilmington's an interesting city where it's you take 2 steps one way and you go from the rich part of town to the poor part of town. There is no between there, and so I think the cheapest you're going to get any space in Wilmington is $4, and that's like really good a square foot. So 50 cents is amazing. So being downtown, and I think our rival is this place called Shoot Space. Their sidewall doesn't go out that far. I think it goes out about maybe 6 feet past the curb. So you can't really have all that separation and like your model independent, you're the background and foreground independently. And so this actually gives people a lot more room to work in. I like it because, especially doing product photography, there's space there. Like if I'm in a room that's very confined, that light is going to bounce around and I'm going to see it in the glass, whatever it is that I'm shooting. This allows it for that light to go all the way over there and then try to come back and find my sensor. Yes, that was just some of the latest stuff that I had done. It was something. Yeah. Oh, nice. So I've got a 3 foot by 3 foot plate, a piece of acrylic, black plexi, first class, whatever the name brand is that they, and then I use, one thing that I use to diffuse the actual softbox is I drop tracing paper. And that's how I'm able to get some of that feathering that takes place where it's sharp and then gets a little bit lighter.
And you use, of course, you use some things that are not real in your shots. We talked about this, of course, when you were on our show, about some of the things you purchased, like ice cubes and things of that nature as well.
Yeah, the whiskey shot here, it's $150 for the ice cubes. It's 3, that is 2 ice cubes and a wedge. Glass, but when we got into color photography, the tempered glass has that green cast to it. You can use that anymore, unless you're still doing black and white. Yeah, in the product world, everything's pretty much fake. The way that I like this is something that I've been working on for years. How do you shoot red wine when red wine doesn't allow light to pass through it? And infrared it does. It looks clear, but when it's visible light, it doesn't want to go through it. And so that's where I came up with the red gel to give you the idea, the feeling that is red wine. And it could have been, chocolate syrup. It wasn't. Because I drink that long.
You drank up all your product.
Well, that's why I mostly shot whiskey, because I don't. And I'm going to cut that bottle in half and actually do it where it looks like the cork is coming out of the water. But there's champagne, sparkling wine, it wasn't done in Champagne, France. The French are cracking down on us. And they have some stupid laws in North Carolina where it deals with alcohol. The state actually sells the liquor in that state. Whereas we just finally got to the point where we're selling wine in grocery stores. Yay, we've all been doing that. Yeah, but your state has got stores. But yes, that's the 3 cubes of acrylic.
So you're doing product photography. What else are you doing? You talk about models. Is that?
I've got this website is kind of dedicated. I just started this website maybe like 3 weeks ago, so it's we're working on the site wall, trying to keep big clean, working on all the other stuff that you need for the business cards, trying to get some professional shirts. I'm tired of seeing myself in my products because it reflects me, so I need a black shirt, So here's an example of having online. Again, boring, ID, worthy. We should train our DMV people to do it like this. That way we can complain and get have it online, and it's really not that interesting. But that's what he's claim to fame. He's grabbing a lot of interesting people, photographing them, and doing that. So when that whole Jennifer, what's her face, came out with the snake, and they're like, it's Lebanon. Yeah, he shot one girl with a snake. That doesn't make it happen. That's just not what that means. Here's actually some of the talent that lives out there. This is Orlando Jones. He lives in Wilmington, and my friend actually does all of his work for him. This was not done at the studio. This was actually done in his basement before we had the studio. So a little bit on this lighting style. I was watching Iron Man and stole it from Hollywood. This is how they shot Tony Stark when they put him on their cover. It's not Vogue magazine. It was it'll come to me when we're not doing this. But yeah, where I light them on one side properly, and then I let it go as dark as it can. And then I have a nice little overexposed light. So if that's shot at 11, then that red light on the other side is going to be at 16. And it actually gained a lot of popularity. It's probably, if you watch TV, I know that some of the latest TV shows I've seen, like Breaking Bad, you will always see the lighting from the side. They're in the middle of the desert. And the light is somehow hitting them on this side, and it's not a single cloud in the sky. Yeah, stuff like this young lady ended up going to Chicago. She was training to be a journalist. This is an example where I didn't do it. 2 stops on the other side, where I had a softbox that the key light that lit her properly, and then 1 stop on the other side. Just so you get some shading, but because she had really dark hair, I didn't want it to blend in with the background. Same with this young lady. She had just painted her hair with midnight or something, and just to get some life out of it, I had to throw a little bit more light on that side. Tends not to bounce off. This would be an example of focus stacking. Something that I ran into a while back was with I would actually shoot everything at like f22. If I'm doing it in a macro lens at 32. And you actually, when the light goes through that tiny little hole, it produces a target. And so that lands on your sensor, and you actually have a image that's a little blurry, because you have these rings that are landing on other pixels, and then another ring lands on the pixel. So your sharpest aperture is actually going to be your widest aperture, but you don't have a lot of depth of field. So you try to find the balance between the two, which is around f8 typically, where you actually get some depth of field, and then you also can take the sharpness that it has. And this image right here is 32 different images, where I started at the top, took a picture, and then moved the focus in a little bit and just took slices out of it. And that's how, like, your Zales and any jewelry store is actually going to take pictures so that they can take and blow that up. This can actually be blown up to a 24 by 24 and maintain the sharpness that's in that. I mean, you can see the fingerprints, because I borrowed this ring from Bell Jewelers. Where's Bell Jewelers? It's in Murfreesboro. I've been moving around so much, I don't even know what town I'm in. I wake up. And I've done that also, like I've got another, this is also shot upside down.
What wind?
This is a 105 macro for my Nikon. I also shot this upside down, and then the reflection there is fake. Oh, I photoshopped that in. You can do a lot, you can fool a lot of people by
adding stuff like that, because you don't have to worry about the reflection being perfect. And just to give you an example of that, I had Al print this one up for me. I built a softbox for that image. So it's two softboxes, and then between them is the actual, I took a piece of strip of tracing paper and then some black cardboard and built a softbox so that it would follow the contour of the light bulb. The light bulb is really lit. I have an extension cord going to my dining room because it's where the dimmer switch usually is. So it's all the way low. And but on the bottom here, to get light on that bottom side of the screw, Edison screw, I've got a little piece of cardboard. I think it was actually somebody's business card I was using for that. So what's the fake part of this is the glass that's underneath the reflection. You would, if not, you would see the reflection of the softbox in the glass. So that's one way you really start to study images and look at, like I always will look at somebody's eyes in an image just to see how they lit the image. How was it done? And I mean, the eyes are going to tell you where are the lights, what type of lights did they use. And because I shoot glass, it's going to tell you everything that I did if you really pay attention. Because the forerunner to that image, people weren't expecting film. So they're like, well, that's Photoshop. Well, and where did the sparkles come from? Oh. That's actually started on, like the people that watched me do this. This was actually over on Wilson. The people that watched me do this saw the extension cord and still couldn't figure out what I was doing. And the reason I had a bunch of light bulbs is because the little old lady next door decided to change out the CFLs, and so I had all these mass light bulbs. So it's actually a 120 light bulb. I soldered the wires and they're hit in that crack and they go to the top. It's a matter of just being creative and just trying to think outside the box. How can I do something that nobody else? I did another one. There was the weed eater shop that was off to the south. I don't know if they've just done anything with that space, but it was a gravel lot there for a while after they knocked it down. And I went out there and set up a whole, I had a couple of chairs and a couple of lights, and I'm sitting there reading a book and taking a picture of myself, just this little funny selfie. I wanted to have like a couch and all set up with a TV, but it was just me, so that's all you get. I had people pulling up and asking me, like, where's the electricity coming from? Under the, like, I have a battery. The battery's actually outside my car right now. I got a battery and an inverter, and I'm powering this whole shenanigan with wires. Which essentially led into stuff like that, which is actually, that's I wanted to do that on film. I never got a chance to. But that is actually, the bulb is right above me. And the way that I got that lit is I have a high voltage power supply that all it has to do, it was 4 neon lamps. And so it was sending 5,000 volts through that, and it's actually glued to a piece of PVC pipe which is stuck on one of the steps. And the step that is most horizontal to you, there's a little black box up there, that's the high voltage power supply. And so there's a wire going to each end, and then, and I was short on models back then, so.
Christopher Copperfield.
I was hoping to do that on a 4x5. Again, it takes a minute to really see what's going on there, but that's, my glasses have empty, half full kind of scenario. I don't know how you measure empty so it's half full, but why it's full on top is a whole other thing. It's upside down, and the piece of glass that I use for the reflection is essentially just glued on the top of the thing. So the whole setup is just turned in Photoshop. I know I'm in the Bible Belt is probably a very poor example, but let's just look at it from the technical aspect. I worked on this for a couple of years in my head before I finally found one of those little things, because this is America, not Britain. We don't eat our eggs like that. It's ridiculous. So finally, I was at World Market and they sold them. I'm like, I'm going to buy one of these. So first thing is trying to get one nail from Lowe's. You can't buy one nail from Lowe's. The guy finally was just like, here. Just taking the nail. All right, now you get it. Oh, okay, we'll try to drill a hole. You can't drill into an egg. You can hard boil it, but still crack the shell. So I eventually found out that if you take a little X-Acto knife, you can just chip away and get it exactly the size that you want. And I mean, it didn't matter, but I went ahead and just blew the guts out of it. The fake blood wasn't around Halloween, because it was around Easter when I decided to do this particular image. And a lot of the stuff that I used to make it look wet, make it look like it's sweating and that it's cold, is a substance called glycerin. It's sold in your pharmacies. 50-50 with water. Well, with this situation, I went ahead and started adding food coloring, but it made it way too runny. So I ended up using corn syrup for that, to get it to have some sort of consistency. And there were other things that I could use, but that seemed to work out just fine for that shot. And this is all done, like a lot of the stuff that when it's the product stuff, I was just doing this in my bedroom. Like when I come up with an idea, so I've got a queen size bed, and I'm able to work in a room that's probably 10 by a little bit bigger than that, and try to make sure mirror over here, it's going to reflect light. I've got, some stuff on this. So, and then I got a window, and so it's got to be, the aperture's got to be stopped down, and the ISO low enough that it's not going to pick up all that other stuff. So I'm either, put something over the window to stop the light coming in, or, it's just a game of, you're fighting the light. You have to have just enough of the balance between too much light and not enough light to give you a really good image.
Just out of curiosity, on that picture, from the time you started setting everything up and whatnot, by the time you got to that point where the picture was done, how many hours did you have?
Well, after I figured out the logistics of it,
Yeah.
because when I came in, I was like, okay, I can't do this and that, so it took me like a couple of months just to figure out how to get the hole in there. That image, not very long, a couple of hours, and then it was not much in Photoshop to really just kind of tweak it. Now, in contrast, something like this, which I did right before I started working out in Wilmington, this is 6 different images. So this took me about 4 hours to do. One of the tricks that I'm doing when to get the liquid to actually show a little bit of life to it is I put a card behind it. And that's why you'll mostly see whiskeys and stuff like that shot on a white background, because they're trying to get life to it. If you shoot them on a black background, the whiskey goes dark. So I'm shooting on black to challenge the people that are actually shooting all these whiskeys. Just say, why don't you do it on black? Because it looks a lot more elegant, at least in my opinion. So what I do is, this is actually 6 different pictures that started with the early art class. To make sure there weren't any little water droplets, I threw a little bit of isopropyl alcohol, mixed it in there, and then I just used green food color. And then when I got it the way that I wanted it, and like I said, I messed with my softboxes. So on the left-hand side is a piece of tracing paper and then my softbox. So that's how it gets really soft and it doesn't have the hard edges of the softbox. On the right-hand side, I just took the softbox, and you don't have to use the way it was designed. Like, you can always take and clamp. It's usually why the softboxes, they have that little lip on them where you've got your diffusing, and then it juts out about 4 inches. So you can clamp stuff onto that and change the appearance of your softbox. Or some of them have Velcro, so you can add grids or something like that. And so I shot each one of these, and then I took into account, like, I wanted the blue one to be back a little bit, so I just put it out of focus a little bit, and then stitched them all together. So about 4 hours with that one.
So photos like this, are you doing this for a client, or
No,
you're just doing it for your own creativity? Are you selling the photos then? Like for instance.
It's rare that I do. I've made more money suing people stealing my photos than I have selling them, because people want to steal from you. And so, brush up on your copyright. That way you can.
You can sue too.
I mean, I'm suing at TSU right now, and they admitted to stealing it. And because there's no confidentiality agreement yet. I'm going to say that. But yeah, they printed off one of the images and I waited for them to put it into print. Like I knew that they were using it. I would have waited about a year and a half, and then they finally put it to print.
So you don't watermark your photos?
They're going to steal them anyway. Like if they really want your image, they're going to steal it. The example, the Iron Man one, they put that up on their website without my permission. And so when my attorney sent us, well, they ignored I was like, hey, you write a letter and you say, hey, thanks for picking my image. And oh, by the way, you didn't ask my permission. So I'll let you off with you give you $1,500 and we can be friends. Oh, by the way, under Title 17, I can sue you and I'll get $150,000 because my court costs and attorney's fees will be taken care of. So I got nothing to lose. And then from that point on, they'll respond to you and tell you to go piss off or something. That's where you get somebody that works in the system, an agent that's in the matrix, to go and say, no, because this is one of the areas that people, and I'm seeing more and more of the copyright stuff now. I don't know if you've seen the article lately. There was a woman that gave about 18,000 images to the took them and started selling them. And so she realized they sent them a bill for $1 billion. I love it. It's just like, no, I still have copyright. Like when you push that shutter,
That's it.
it's yours. And this is one of the few places, but I'll tell you, it's under common law. It's one, like here in Tennessee, they don't acknowledge common law marriage. There's a couple of states that still do, South Carolina and Texas. But here in Tennessee, they don't. But common law, as far as your rights to the photograph, when you take that picture, it's yours. And there's a lot of photographers that they don't know that. And they'll get their copyright. Oh,
Well, I tell you what, everybody give.
I'm good.
Yeah, of course you do.
I know y'all flood all the time.
Yeah.
I was here for the flood.
Any more questions really quick for Christopher before we get to showing our images tonight? What are you shooting with now, Christopher?
I'm shooting the Sony, the A7 II.
Yeah. Mirrorless. He's not mirrorless.
Oh, mirrorless.
Yeah.
Here's the thing about mirrorless. The mirror was added about 400 years ago to write the image. So we've been using this mirror, this archaic technology. And it was introduced into the SLR line to get people that were amateurs, because when you're looking at, say, a Paul Bellows camera, if you do a 4x5 or anything like that, the image is upside down.
Yeah.
So you're more concerned with the composition. And then, of course, it's not fast because you're putting film in there and you're going to ensure that you stop the lens there and all that. So we've got to the point now where we have the ability, the advantages to mirrorless. First off, you don't have as many moving parts. I mean, you're still going to have a shutter just because of the way the CMOS and the CCG sensors work. And they work electronically. That's how our phones work. They're mirrorless. But you have a computer that's strong enough that allows you to see exactly what is seen through the lens. So there's no deviation between, say, what your eye sees and then maybe the sensor being off just or the film being off just a little bit. So one of the things that I like about, first off, I'm able to get adapters. I can use all my old film lenses for my Nikons. So I didn't have this whole big thing. And they're getting better. So I know the A7R2 can focus Canon glass instantaneously. This also allows me to zoom in, which is something that I didn't have on the digital SLR. The old SLRs that had a little prism in there that would split, if you're looking at a straight line, it would split it. You wouldn't know if you had that focus dead on where it needed to be. With my SLRs, I couldn't do that because you're just looking through the lens. This allows me to zoom in about 11 times and get really on somebody's eyeball and get that focus perfect and pull back out and then take a picture. So yeah, I had gone with Nikon because I was shooting film, and I haven't shot much film since then, but it allowed me to use the same glass for the different bodies that I had. Now with the mirrorless cameras, I've got kind of a little 28 millimeter lens I'd never heard of. I don't know if the company exists anymore, but with my Nikon mount, I can just put that little $25 lens on there and shoot it.
All right. All right, thank you, Christopher.
Thank you.
At some point, I want to get a group that wants to go to his studio workshop, and we may make a trip out there sometime or another. We get enough people interested.
How long was the drive?
About 10 hours.
It's like, fly there.
You're from Wilmington, North Carolina?
No, I'm from here. I actually had a house on Wilson Avenue.
Oh,
But he's in Wilmington now, right?
I've been commuting back and forth for the past couple
from
of
Wilmington.
Yes.
How come you don't have a picture of Michael there?
Michael?
Michael Jordan.
Oh, I don't know him.
I don't know. I introduced you
I
to.
climb Mount Whitney. I know there's no oxygen up there. No, I'm just now trying to fit in with it. It's a completely different culture there as well. It's interesting, especially the religions. Like whereas here it's more like no. Have they done anything? I have not. I was actually cut off since May 31st until the Orlando shooting. I was actually cut off. So the only news I got was when I went down to the pizza joint to get a slice. And I finally bugged him. I was like, I'll get some internet from my phone. That way I can play my stupid Facebook games and see what's going on with the election and all that stuff. Yeah,
You don't want to know.
I am. I'm just like, and I was in DC, so. Well, and I get my news through Facebook, so it's all the news that people are interested in. Like the woman getting suing and getting, which I think is just bad. Of course it is. If you can put it online, it's not true.
All right.
So I appreciate y'all having me.
All right. All yours, my friend.
As usual, we'll start with the one in the Dropbox.
Because you may have to go right
Did we
here.
get the? Go ahead, you're fine.
Okay. These Bobby? Yeah.
He said either from the Columbus Zoo or from the Bible. I just have one a little clearer, but I full attitude.
Yeah, that's perfect. That's perfect.
Well, here a minute. Hunting like I live. Oh, we got a little.
That's all right, don't forget your photo. We do a thing where we pick a photo and it goes on our
Yeah, I
website.
got a few.
I get 2 minutes.
Yeah. Well, he did.
Just pass me around.
We normally write that on the back, and then pick the one that you want out of that.
Camel.
Okay.
Oh, he's so pretty.
Here, I got it.
Barbara's camera.
Okay, so the camel is what?
No, Barb.
Barbara.
Oh, is that you?
He's saying hello.
Yeah.
Hello.
Here comes mine. Out of the seriousness month, they did let me out of the house.
Oh, somebody got fireworks.
Yeah,
I was gonna say fireworks were a bust last month.
It's pretty marine out there, I'm not
Very nice.
Where do you at, the campground?
Well, I had, park there, Davis Corner.
It's a Long Branch.
Over there. Oh, well. And then the next one in Hendersonville, the next night. So it was August, was it Saturday? And then August 3rd.
July 3rd.
Oh, yeah. That one. Okay, and here's one of my dogs that, needs a home.
You guys might be pretty happy with that.
I go there. And then we had the rodeo in town. And I was out there all evening. It's in there.
You've been up quite often.
Yes, that little place again, the hot dog shop.
All right.
And these boys had the best time roping those plastic cows on wheels. This little guy. Oh, and then they really let me out. Jim. A service member that needs a service dog. And they did this, whole red bug run on Saturday, when he asked me to come and take pictures. And I'm not one to go to a roadside bar or hang out with some bikers, but I was right in the middle between about 70 bikers and bikes and all these different vests on and all these different embroideries on my dog. We're in there for the same cause. It was really, really nice, I must say, those guys. Riding all about 100 miles around, trip length over, and doing this bug run where they put a little sticker on the headlight on the lamp, and took out a bug that hits the closest window.
Claudia, do you know what a poker run is? They have to spot 5 places.
Okay, yeah, they did.
And they do a game, and then they get a card. And whoever, when they come back, whoever has the best hand wins.
Something like that,
Yes.
yes, we do. So they had this, antique fire engine follow them. It's not Wemo or anybody, but it's, a really pretty fire engine, the old one that followed all the fire. Yes, I got to cover portraits then. That's what they look like, but they're all really super nice. He said I could write it for the next time, I'm not so sure. It's my favorite rodeo picture, it's my favorite. Or looking off to the, probably to the scoreboard, but I felt like the sun really got inside me. You never knew what hit him.
Actually, I'm the one that talked Cardi into doing that thing with Jim Rescue.
Yeah, it's the motorcycle.
Yeah.
Yeah.
They
Yeah,
had
I
the
checked
veterans
in
do it in Lebanon, too.
You had to check in before and after the sale to make sure it's okay.
Who are we?
Oh, this is mine.
Okay.
That was shut down to that.
Red.
That was red. Yeah, that was red.
Where's it?
Right
Red.
there.
Wow, nice job.
Seaman Hall, this is really.
Yes.
That was a boat race that they had down there.
Red.
Down on the river, like that.
Oh, that's good. The regatta.
Is there a remote control or
Here.
really?
Yeah. I think that's on the news.
That's the little small ones, and they're going around these buoys. They had some, they had some like, stop cars, they were wrecking each other and stuff. It was pretty neat. There's a little ducky.
All your ducks in a row.
This is my, it's outside my house.
I know, good, right?
Yeah, I had a car and then people shooting off. That's practice too, like going out for July. And this was,
Two frame matches.
it was kind of weird because the little green one didn't last long, which I didn't know. But the big one hit him from the rear end or something, and he, I don't know if he killed him a lot, but in one of the images, you can see the shadow of him falling. No, that happened to him. I don't kill him now. And this is what I shot last night at the house. It's so rainy though, that they were flying.
Yeah, they're out now.
This is another praying man. This one here, he's right at the opportune time to get the little butterfly. I didn't catch it when he caught him, but the next one is he's eating.
It's a cool world out
Yeah, really? It's more than
there. Seriously.
That's same, I mean, that's what I'm
Okay.
This one has little bugs chasing them around and swatting at them. Trying to get the bugs. He's very hanging out.
All right.
Very good. For those of you that are wondering what we're doing with this, I'm writing it down so you'll know who to vote for, and the picture goes on the website.
Next month.
Which one is your interest?
Which one is that?
The last one.
Yes, that's it.
The last one?
Frame it.
Can you try to be number 39?
This one.
Yeah.
Yes, that.
It's kind of funny because their eyes are really, they change colors too.
Wow.
I felt sorry for that little green one. I mean, he's looking right at him, and the next day, he's falling down.
Oh, you just wanted to think about that.
What's the Venus flytrap that you said is protected in,
North Carolina.
Yeah. Yeah. Chris was telling me that the Venus flytrap is actually a protected plant. So don't go stepping on one if you go to North Carolina.
I don't think you can help that so much because they're so small. It's the people that go out there and poach them, like I was planning on.
Coach. Oh, that's me.
Okay.
I have not shown photos probably for about 6 or 8 months, and Dagmar over there inspired me, says, we need to do some photos. So we went up to Shaker Village. And I was doing just some artsy little playing around stuff, so. And I'm still working on my compositions.
Losing colors, eating lines. Oh.
Shut the adventure through.
Yeah. It's the Dixie Belle. We're gonna shake
Close
the village.
enough.
Close enough, yeah. You can take it up the Kentucky River.
Nothing wrong with that. That's not process what you, that's right out here. Great. Perspective. Yeah, very good perspective. All right. Which
And with
one?
the horse.
The horse.
And the puppy dog.
Oh, very good, Mary.
Very good.
So we went to Alaska with the Fourth of July.
You did?
Yeah.
Wow.
And it's a sunset, and it's either Oak Henley's okay, or it's a Playboy bunny.
Or honey rabbit?
And Please hand in the sun. This is Icy Point Strait. It's one of the ports they're going to now, just since like 8 years ago. So it's still pretty rustic, and it's nice. It'll be ruined soon. But and I was playing with the polarizer that I just got from the sky, figure out color.
Very good.
Icy Point Strait.
Wow, that's nice.
And as it got darker, that's just the way it looked. It was like the whole world was in black and white. It was really nice thing. This is the Hubbard Glacier. It's a glacier bay that goes up into, and I thought it was neat, the glacier on the left and the dark lane on the right. That glacier on the left is about 100 feet tall, and we're about 3 miles away. This is humpback whales, I learned, are not humpback, but when they roll like that, that's what you see. And that was luck. Yeah.
That is like the correct line.
Took a whole bunch of pictures, and that one came out really good. It's about a 200 millimeter lens, but we're relatively close.
I still have the road, super to Seattle.
Now this is in the bay right outside of Juneau where we did the whale watching, and every glacier's got a name, and I forget the name, so we'll call that Fred Glacier. Again, I was playing with the polarizer in the sky mostly. And that's kind of grainy and far away, but I thought it was really neat to see 2 bald eagles. Yeah. There's a lot of them out there. Now this is the Mendenhall Glacier, and there's a national park, there's a ranger station there where I took that. And I don't know if global warming is real, but they say when they built that ranger station, you could touch the glacier from where I'm taking that picture. Yeah. And it's receded, 2 miles. That's a little closer. I guess that's with the 200 millimeter. It kind of looked like meringue. Yeah. Dirty one.
Very good.
I guess the whale tail.
Yeah.
It was the celebrity at Vancouver. Yeah.
It's right there.
I put down Fred.
I did too.
Yeah, well, we saw many of them rolling in there. Not everyone could. Yeah.
Mostly a dump.
I just came back from South Dakota, and I know this is just a snapshot, but I brought it because it reminded me of one that I took in out by the Smokies and Pigeon Forge or something. So these are the Rushmore views, and the next one should be the Hollywood views.
Give you a name on it?
Yeah. And this, I love this. This is an elk in a cherry.
Wow.
And I did this on purpose, when it was behind the bush. And so I could see it.
Yeah. It's his own time.
Yeah.
Well,
This is in Cherokee, over the mountain, you know, it's. Yeah, yeah. only fireworks I didn't want to be left out. Yeah, so this is the only one that turned out good.
But you tried it.
I tried
It is, and it's not easy to do, is it?
No, well, I didn't change my settings or anything. This one's over there. She's changing everything and being all professional, and I just sat it up and enjoyed the show.
There you go. Sometimes that's the best thing to do. Good job. Which one?
Oh,
Which
fireworks. Okay, fireworks.
I don't say.
This one.
What's that?
What's her name?
Maggie.
Her name. Okay.
And Edward, I wanted to ask you which one is a.
Yeah, the whale tail. The whale tail.
Somebody got fireworks. Let's go, Jeff.
What's the name?
Jeff, come.
Let's see, famous strawberry.
Beautiful.
Several shots at mine. This is pretty good ones. Actually, I don't. It was just great on them.
I didn't see that.
I don't know, this is just, it's gonna have to, but I ran out one night, and this is the ultimate light writing, I guess. Writing with light. It was, I haven't seen this in years. People had the big lights in the sky, and it ran out, shot some.
There's an airplane coming through as well.
Yeah, so I was thinking.
But when me and Johnny hit, we were in Florida, and we decided we wanted to get down on the beach, shoot fireworks. We got set up. There was fireworks over in the distance. All of a sudden, after I took this, I heard this humongous boom that me and Johnny about both about jumped out of the skin, and they were shooting fireworks right in the sides. When you're in the dark with people everywhere, so it was hard for us to shoot. This was on down the beach from where we were at. The next one you'll see, we were in the fireworks. So I just turned the camera straight up and started shooting. It took a little while to get zeroed in where they were going. Last, we were so close.
Remember when I finally got one in the front, I was going,
Waiting for my limbs to come on to involve. So, very humid, very hot.
Ooh,
nice.
I like that one.
Nothing
Oh,
really.
nice.
Yeah, we were right in the fireworks. So we had no- I mean, I shoot this with a 24 millimeter wide lens, and probably zoomed in just a little bit, but we were so close. I mean, I was getting a whole burst right above our head.
Billy Ash.
And
Was it not roped off? That area where you climbed over that fence where humans
yeah, the thing we did have to deal with was very high winds coming off the ocean, so everything really
Just blowing.
brushed over.
Yeah, it took the smoke away though.
Yeah.
That was really challenging with fireworks. You get all the smoke. Yeah. Right.
Oh, that's good.
Oh, that's a great. That's
Years ago,
And this was I call this my palm tree.
Yeah.
I decided to go back in, and we got up on the walkway going in, and I stopped. Shot a couple of things. I saw some people throwing the ball of fire, and never, I don't know what it was, but I got a couple of good photos of it, moved it back and forth. Shot this one. High school. I don't remember what the time setting it was. I don't know, I thought it was one of the better ones. So I know a lot of people photography when we were down there. It was very, very hot. I'd get out in the morning to try to do sunrise, and it was so hazy I couldn't do anything. So I shot people. So we had a group of about 28 or so. And so one of the things I do for the group is do beach shots of the families. And this is just one of the families that we've got to know over now. This one looks horrible in the screen, but it is awesome. I shot that with it's a 85 millimeter eyes, and the colors, and it's on the screen at home. It's unbelievable how the clarity is that I see in that photo.
Yes, well, and all the last 2 weeks.
Probably a steam bath.
Who's this?
That's me. Yeah, right there. Where were you? I wasn't on my skate park, believe it or not, and the little turtle was just running in front of us along the path.
Running?
Walking really fast.
For his form.
And he had a little attitude. He was just adorable. He didn't get shy, and he never closed up or anything. He was just showing off.
You gotta go somewhere.
Oh, good job. That is in Florida. We found some like skimmers and the golf. Yeah, one is not the same as the other.
Very good.
Wow.
Love the waves. Good shot.
Good job. And that is the least turn, it's the smallest and fastest of the turns.
It's a turn.
And they're fast, oh my gosh. I don't know how many hundreds of years I took trying to get one to fly.
Oh.
And then it's at Murphy Springs by the lens. And the little guy was just, what? We walking by. Oh, and that's
Can I tell them where that is?
sure,
That's in my driveway. The story is, everybody tried to go to Nashville to see the fireworks, and then poured down rain, and of course, nobody was allowed to go to Baptist Hospital, and they were kicking people out, and wouldn't let anybody take pictures up there. So Scott called us, and he said, what are you guys doing? They'll come down to Nashville, and we're okay, it's raining, and we're not going to. So they came out to the house for a little while, and went. And all of a sudden, Wilson County is less than a mile behind me, the fairgrounds. And I said, well, depending on where they shoot the fireworks off, you can see them from our backyard. And sure enough, we were sitting in the living room talking, the fireworks started going off. I went, look how close they are. We got running out, and they set up their gear and everything and started taking photos. And it was perfect.
Yeah.
Pouring down
Just in addition, we said not one was dry. We focused and said cameras up
it started sprinkling. The first pictures, it started pouring. Marion and Jim got the umbrellas out and held it. We didn't hold the umbrellas over Scott and Dagmar, we held it over the camera. Yeah, that's okay.
You're watching on the
Thank
camera.
you so much again. Yeah. Yeah, just a little hole collector.
Right. Which one, Mark?
The bee would be my image.
The bee?
The last one. Yeah.
Yeah, whichever one they chose, that's the lead side.
And then they did mine.
These are Scott's.
Oh, very good stuff. Scammers, players. What happens if you stand right next to each other? So y'all come back there and merge the screen. All right.
Blackness monster.
Yeah. Is that what that been a long time ago? All right, where is that? It's the Murphy Springs Wetlands, the Discovery Center in Murfreesboro. Yeah. It's an old water treatment facility.
Being bashful for you.
And we had perfect conditions. The sun was there to backlight it. There was a little rim light. So it's really cool conditions to get the shots.
Just chill.
Oh, that is my sister and brother-in-law's car. They live down in Florida. That is a one-of-a-kind, it's called a Seabuck. It was built in '72. Sits on a Volkswagen chassis. And the guy designed it, Guy England designed it. I was going to make it into a kit car for people to buy, and it just hadn't played through. My brother-in-law came across it, and he's in the process of restoring it right now.
This is front.
That's the front, yeah.
Okay.
And it has rolling doors on it, it's a really, really cool car.
Headlights flip off.
Very good.
Yeah.
Good firework.
And that's my entry for that's out of Jim Marion's, also. That's my entry for the week. Month, year, whatever.
Very good.
Very good.
All right, that's it.
All right.
Is that it? Okay, we have, so get your pens and pencils out and your voting sheet. Barb had the camel. Claudia had the rodeo boy. Harry had the praying mantis. Marion had the horse and puppy. Ed was the white-tail or whale-tail. Maggie had a fireworks picture. Jeff had the strawberry moon. Dagmar had the bee, and Scott had the firework picture. So just write the name, person's name, and so we'll do it.
Here's what mine.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. Oh, you don't kill anybody.
Yes. Do not give Christopher a pen. We may all die
I
tonight.
gave him a small little film.
Anybody else?
They're gonna tell you. No. The bee, yeah. The bee.
Yeah, that's breakfast and probably lunch.
Get out here.
How'd you get your dog?
And make sure you check your bank folder too. It's the spot and then. I know that,
Not bad for not knowing what was expected.
Hey, you pulled it out.
Figure out what they.
I know that I have you.
How are you gonna come out here? All right.
Look at him.
Jim Rescue. I'm gonna look at these.
Anybody else that has not?
Okay, the winner is the whale.
Tonight for the program. And actually, our website is the following month. And of course, that is a great honor for our group here. Website.